Welcome back. This next section we're going to discuss basic weaponization. We now have a vehicle that has energy in it. We have oxygen, hydrogen. We have the capability of flight and steerable flight, which is key in combat. So we're going to talk about different weapon systems and different weapons game modes that exist. In any of the Garry's Mod servers that you enter, they will each have one of 4 different weapon sets. So I'm actually going to give some names of Garry's Mod servers out here. So I expect that the owners of these servers will give me a nod in my video. Diaspora has a unique weapon setup and system linked to their core system. We won't discuss that here, but there's a specific one there. What we're going to discuss is the one that is present in Realm Gaming, Blocks Gaming, Jolly Roger Gaming, and the US Gaming server. So if you'll open up your Q menu again, and under Tools, the first weapon setup that we're going to talk about is called Pew Pew. Pew Pew is one of the older weapon systems. It's based on a derivative of the G Combat line, and it's a very simple system to use. If you've ever played in a game with me, you'll hear me refer to it as wire and fire. Now, Pew Pew has multiple options that are set by the server admins. The ones that you're most worried about is this one right here, which is toggle energy usage. If Pew Pew has energy usage enabled, you will need to link it to your node just like you did your other resource generators for it to fire. If energy usage is not set up, all you're going to have to do is wire and fire. Okay, so we're going to go to Pew Pew. We're going to find a weapon that we want to use. Earlier today I was making a starship with laser beams, so we're going to work with a beam laser. Okay. You then select the model that you choose. Now this is an important piece here, fire direction. In the event that your model is not firing in the front of it, because not all models, the front of it is where you might think it is, you can actually change the fire direction to meet where the actual front of the prop is. And that becomes important when you change the model of a prop. So if I change the model of this Pew Pew weapon, see in the upper left hand corner I have the option to spawn the weapon and weld it. Secondary, I can spawn the weapon and don't weld it. Or if I press reload, I can change the model. So instead of it being that model right there, I can make it this cannon. Well, suppose that the nose of this cannon is not the front of the cannon. Then I have the ability to go in here and change the fire direction and ensure that I'm not shooting myself in the face every time I pull the trigger. So for now we're going to use the default weapon model. We're going to follow the instructions. We're going to spawn a weapon and it will weld automatically to the nose of our ship. So there's my weapon. Now, in this instance, because this server does not require me to link my Pew Pew weapon to the node to get power, I can continue moving forward and just wire it. If I needed to link it to the node, I would use the CAF tool and the Smart Link tool. I would left click it, click my node, right click my node, and now that weapon system would have power. Okay. Next I'm going to go to wire because I need to give this thing commands. I'm going to go to wire advanced. Now I have options. I have fire and reload. All Pew Pew weapons have a reload option because there are actually cannons and things of that nature that may or may not auto-reload. With a laser in general, the reload cycle is done autonomously, so you don't have to fight with it. We're just going to select the option to wire. Now with the advanced wiring tool, of course, I could scroll for reload or fire. I'm going to select fire. I'm going to go to my numpad that I placed earlier. I'm going to give it a numpad output. So in this case, I'm going to use the output of 0 to fire my weapon. Now, most servers have rules about firing weapons on the spawn planet. In general, doing so can get you banned from servers, or at least get you labeled as a potential troublemaker. It is advisable that you read the server rules or consult with admin staff on the server before firing a weapon on spawn. In this instance, the server that I'm on right now, because I am the owner of the server, I can fire a weapon system to test. So again, I set my weapon system up to 0. So I'm going to test fire here. Ah, look, I have an operational beam laser. So now I have a weapon on a ship. Pew Pew is a very, very simple weapon system to set up. There are weapons within the Pew Pew system that do require tracking to work effectively, some of the rockets and things of that nature, and those will require you to learn the use of the target finder. Additionally, Pew Pew has weapon systems that are non-lethal, things such as water balloons, fireworks, and then what are called thud rounds. Thud rounds physically push a target backwards, but there's all sorts of goodies to work with under Pew Pew. Next, we're going to talk about the Stargate weapon systems. So in general, Stargate uses base level weapons that are trackable, tracking weapons, but there are some dumbfire weapons. Staff weapons, for instance, are very simple. Staff weapons work on the same basic design process that Pew Pew does, which in this case would be we're going to have to link this to the node. Okay, so we're going to link our staff weapon to the node. You're going to see that we have 8,172 shots there. Woo woo. Now we're going to wire that staff weapon and we're going to give it an output. We're going to give that staff weapon the exact same output we gave our other weapon. So when I pull the trigger now, both of my weapon systems will fire, or if I choose to give it a differing value, I can fire my two weapons independent of one another. So now that I have a working armament on the ship, I'm going to go ahead and give my ship a third weapon system. So I have a Stargate weapon system and I have a Pew Pew weapon system. Stargate also has ship weapons that have tracking options on them. So when we're looking at Stargate weapons such as the small turrets and the medium turrets and things of that nature, the Orion beam cannon, the drone launchers, these require wiring into targeting systems to work effectively. They're just dumbfire otherwise. I can also use the old SBEP weapons. Now there are some mild problems with the SBEP weapons. The first one is that their wire does not save all the time under the Advanced Wiring Tool 2. So if you use one of these weapon systems, you will have to rewire it every time you duplicate your ship. But they are still very effective in combat. Just as an example here, we're going to take out one of our machine guns here. Now they work under the very same concept as all these other tool systems, and that is wire and fire. Okay, so I'm going to put my precision tool, and I'm going to attach this guy to the ship, and I'm going to wire him and get him ready to fire. I'll give him a different output than I've given the other ships. One note, this weapon system, SBEP, under your entities, never require power. So now, got myself a machine gun there. And I can, again, wire all of those to the same fire output. And they'll fire all at once. So I can really have myself a diverse hitting box there. Additionally, if I wish to, I can wire the fire option of any weapon system to the mouse control. So in this instance, when I press the mouse button, it will actually fire the weapon, assuming the chair is active. So I have to be in the chair. There you go. So now that is the basic weaponization piece. Next thing that I want to discuss real quickly is the core systems. So when you've parented this ship, you've made it one prop, but each of those has a health value. So what I want to do is I want to work with a way to make my ship combat defensible. So all servers that you play on will have the Pew Pew system and they will have the Pew Pew core. So how the Pew Pew core works is this. You select a model and then you attach the Pew Pew core to a part of your ship. Preferably the parent prop. So this is my parent prop. I'm attaching the core to the parent prop. Now if I look at this thing with a wiring to a debugger tool, what I can see is that I'm going to see the health, total health, and health percent. In this case, my vehicle has a total health, if you look in the upper left-hand corner, of 3,740. And what that means is when this vehicle takes damage, it will take the health from the total asset or value of all its parts instead of blowing bits and pieces off of that. And that's important for you in a combat situation because some players, myself included, will target your node and take your node out if it's not cored in. And even though the rest of your ship is perfectly intact and combat ready, you're incapable of continuing to defend yourself because you've lost your power to your weapon systems and you've lost your oxygen to your chair. So Pew Pew core is a vital piece. The Bloxgate server also uses another core system, and this one is the Diaspora server uses this one also, or a similar version. and that is the Eve cores. And how that works is if you go down under the tools and the core system, you're going to find ship cores on those two servers. And if you select ship cores, you're going to have options for different varieties of cores, and these are based on Eve ship types. And you take your prop and you indicate that this is its core, and you'll see that it has a specific value. If we then take that and we attach it to our ship, so I'm going to go ahead and weld that to that ship. Okay, give it a second. The core, there you go. The core updates, and as you see, it takes all of the health of those different props and it spreads them over the different values. So I have a shield value, an armor value, and a hull value. As a matter of fact, I can press E on it. I can look at those values. I can look at the resistance of each of those settings, and I can fit different modules. So I can go back under those core system, okay, ship cores, and I can actually choose things such as shield hardening, And this will put a shield hardener that will provide different resistances, such as amplify hit points, things of that nature. But it has a fitting, so this is using 8 CPU. So as you see, I've consumed part of my CPU because I've placed that mod, but it increases the defensive value of that core system. So whatever server you're on and whatever core system you're using, it's important that you use that core system. If they have the Eve core systems here, I'll show you something real quick. There's no need for Stargate shields in general, because what will happen is this: the actual core itself absorbs the damage. So let's pull out a weapon here. So I've actually shot this, and as you see, the shield has taken a bit of damage. So in reality, we can take this then, and we can attach this to our ship. And then if I shoot my ship, oh, come on, what did I do with my staff rifle? There we go. You'll see that it has its own shield effect. Okay. Now, an important note here, if you look in the upper left-hand corner, you'll notice when I shoot my ship, it does not take overall physical damage. So the pew pew core in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, you'll notice that there's no decrease. Only on the actual ship core system do I take physical damage. So mixing the two systems doesn't do you any good. If your server has both pew pew that you play on has both pew pew and an Eve core system, it's important to note that you shouldn't bother with both at the same time, because they will neutralize each other out. This concludes the basic weaponization process. The next video will discuss defensive as well as use of targeting systems in the advanced gyropod. If you have questions, please rewind the video and review, and thank you for your time and attention.